Quote of the day: the power to question is the basis of all human progress, right? We're the only ones that can do it. Thoughts? Unless you're a monkey wondering how a magic trick just happened. So let's get right to Ethereum, coin of the day. What are we looking like? Well, we'll start off on the 4 hour, then we'll zoom out to the bigger picture, look at some resistance points, bullish, bears, right? You want to be looking at both sides of the coin at all points. So for the bulls, right, we're looking at a potential ascending triangle here. Now, normally I don't really like to look at wicks, but seeing that they're almost all price on these candles are getting rejected kind of right at this 1600 level, you know, minus the one we're working on right now. So depending on when you watch this, we might already have your answer. If we can close above this zone, maybe around just above 1600, I think Ethereum could have a potential to really make a bigger move here. Right, this is a power move, right? I mean, you could zoom out and you see the move that we're in here. Now, the bulls would argue for this, right? We'd want to see a breakout of this. The bears, right? Really, you want to focus on closing prices and looking at this, right? Now we're looking almost like just a rising channel after a move up, which is a little bit more bearish, right? You don't want to see a move down, right? If you invert the chart, right, you see this move down and then you fall, right? We just broke out of this. That's kind of what Bitcoin did on the weekly chart. If you go look at the weekly, on the normal chart, you can see that we broke out of a falling channel after a down move. That's, the odds are you breaking this way, right? But looking at this, right, it would be breaking back down. So that's what the bears would argue, right? And you kind of can see both sides of this, hopefully, right? If you're like, no, I'm leaning more bullish, well, that's because you're trying to fit your narrative, and most people try to play to that. But on this channel, we try to fit both sides of the coin and put as much data in front of you as possible, and you can make your own decisions. So let's get the chart back to normal, right? That's the closing prices. Now, what I do like also is that, have all these moving averages, you'll have them sorted least to greatest. That's a good sign, right, for a power move. You can see that the 8, the 14 in the purple, 21, 34, 50, 100, and 200 way down here. That's exactly what we want to see, like on the daily chart, the weekly chart, and then we're in full bull mode, right? Just by definition, if you're above all your moving averages, power moves, right? You're more bullish than bearish if you're like this, right? So now let's zoom out to the daily chart and let's see what else we can see. So on closing prices, you can see we still have not closed above for Ethereum this kind of Pico top, local Pico top, just after the first week in November before our move to, around 1,000 mark, right? So that's what we're looking for, to take that out with a close, 1645, and then, we can make a move, right? If that ascending triangle for the bulls on the 4 hour plays out, I would think that we could, probably do that. So looking at, the massive ascending triangle in the daily chart doesn't look like much, right? Now, we could be potentially playing out something like this 4 hour, right? See how it just keeps rising up and tracking, right? Maybe imagine that on the daily chart. Imagine it just keeps going for another 10 days or something like that, right? Can't rule that out, right? We see that on the 4 hour. That could also play out on the daily. Maybe we even have a kind of a cool down back to like the EMA 8 or the 200, right? Those are key levels to be watching if we move back down. And this is still an insanely bullish move. So when you have like 10 green candles in a row, the bulls are waking up very bigly, right? So that's the daily chart. Now, how about we go look at some indicators for the daily and see what we got, right? Look how cranked we are. Let's see what those numbers are. 85 RSI, 95 stochastic, 100 on MFI. MFI is money flow index, so volumes computed in that, computed word of the day. One of my favorite indicators, though, is the Fisher transform. You might not have heard of this, but there's a lot of math involved with this indicator. And looking, you want these running parallel like train tracks, right? When they start to do different things, then they're either more bullish, like see how the uptick, right? That's a strong move. You don't get that very often. When's the last time you saw that? This is the daily chart, right? You don't really see those bigger upticks like that without crossing first. So that is a lot of power behind this. But if this crosses, that's a trigger, right? That'll be a trigger kind of sell. On the daily, it's okay, right? You can see you can still get some fake outs. The weekly is much better, or the monthly, right? The monthly is very bigly. So weekly, looking at the weekly Fisher transform, we are running parallel taking out this previous top, right? So now we're trying to reverse this downtrend that we've been in for quite literally 2 years, right? We're going back to January of 2021 where we kind of peaked out at that top. We've been making lower highs, right? And now we're trying to reverse that trend. So we'll see if we can do it. Looking at the weekly MFI, stochastic, RSI, kind of right in the middle, but trying to creep up, right? Our ADX and DI, another great one. We've crossed bullish for the first time since, March of 2022. That was a brief, fake out. We'll see if we're going to do that as well. What I don't like is that the ADX in the orange there is, under 20 and it's moving down. That's a little concerning on the weekly, but, depending on where we close, maybe this flips back around and all is okay. But usually you want to see the ADX above 25 to really get a stronger signal. So we just don't have that yet on Ethereum. So let's zoom out to our price action and see what we have for the bulls. Let's argue for the bulls here. We're above so far the 200-day or 200-week EMA, right? This is big, right? Last time we got above it 2 weeks with wicks and rejected right back down. So I know a lot of people are anticipating something similar, but I'm not so sure you're going to get it this time. So we'll see, right? A cool off right after this big bullish move. You'd want to be buying that dip, right? Because of, the volume located on Bitcoin, the volume in the total crypto market asset class, altcoin market, all looking very good. So we'll see where we end up closing, right? The line in the sand for the big bulls to show up is the 200-week, and that number for Ethereum is 1565 as of right now. That will stay probably that same, something right around in there. But we still have 4.5 days. A lot can happen between that. And we could end up wicking up to like the 50-week, right? That's 1750, then eventually coming back down and closing under 1560, right? That's certainly a possibility. And if that happens, that would be very concerning, right? Because you don't want to see a super long upper shadow, right? That would indicate a lot of selling pressure up in there. But we'll have to wait and see, right? Closing prices is kind of where the money's at. So look at the close just under the 200-week last time and, send it down. So we'll see where we end up closing. If we close above 1565, the bulls are still here and not ready to take a break just yet based on that. Now, one more thing, the Heikinashi candles, right? You want to be paying attention to these. These show momentum, right? And these are opposite of Japanese candlesticks that everyone's familiar with. The wicks actually show the momentum on the side, right? So if you have a long upper shadow on a regular candle, that's bad, right? On a Heikinashi, that tells you that's how much momentum the bulls are pulling. If you see, the long wick on the bottom, that's bears pulling on you, right? So you can think of it like a tug of war here, right? Bears are winning bigly here. Indecisive, right? Bulls and bears couldn't decide. After this big downtrend, right? There's the momentum change, right? You saw the bulls fighting back for the first time in a long time, right? So that's what you want to be watching for. And the same thing, when you get to the top and you keep going, look at this, right? Indecisive. The bears weren't fighting at all for 5 weeks here, and then all of a sudden they're fighting back, right? And then you see the trend change, right? So bigly, right? Bigly, hashtag bigly. It's dumb. So that's Ethereum on kind of wrapped up here. And if you didn't know, now you know. Hash ribbons, not really important on anything but Bitcoin did print the weekly buy signal hash ribbons just not that long ago. So historically, we haven't had one since 2021 summertime. Those really don't have fake outs. Doesn't mean you can't go down, right? We could go back to, 18, 19K, but historically, if you were to just buy on blue buy signals, you'd be doing very well in crypto. So just going to throw that out there. Anything can happen in the short term, but long term, it'd be nice to be turning the ship around here going into 2023. So that is Ethereum, and briefly touched on Bitcoin. If you have any questions or some requests for the next video, leave me a comment below what you'd like to see most of, or we get. Maybe we'll do that. Quote of the day we got. How about car of the day? You haven't seen that? How about monkey of the day? You saw that one. Car in cars. The Acura NSX. We got old school and new school. I love both. They're just not that powerful. You can make them powerful, but out of the box, for the price, it's just a little bit underwhelming. They look great. You gotta definitely turbo them up. All right. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. As long as you have, follow us on Twitter, Telegram, and Patreon if you're not already. More content on all those places. I appreciate you.